The Louie T Network is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description.
Who else could it be? Me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to the Command Post Live. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I, of course, am your Commander-in-Chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. So, I've tried to give you some time to process what took place in day number one. The crash out was epic today. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And I think there's still some crash out residue going on right now, which I will continue to get a massive chuckle out of. I wanted to react to day number one, kind of go through the emotions of you guys. And I'll give you a little bit of what my thought process was as the day kind of unfolded. I mean, we were together for most of the day. If you were watching my live stream, if not, I'll kind of give you the snapshot of how the day went and what I was thinking. But more importantly, forget about me, how you guys were conducting yourselves. Some of you should be ashamed. You should be ashamed of yourselves. But I digress. Commanders had 5 transactions take place, and I will go through them in sequential order. Laramie Tunsil had his extension. That was followed by Amik Robertson, the cornerback from Detroit, being signed. That was followed up by Marcus Mariota being brought back on a 1-year deal. That was followed up finally. Golly, boy, if this didn't happen, I don't know what some of you would have done today. Odafe Oweh being signed, and then they capped off the day by signing defensive tackle Tim Settle, bringing him back home. So we'll go through the emotions of the day. I do want to start off this show by talking about a couple of names as I'm looking at my book, because we'll go through all of the free agents that are quote unquote left at the end of tonight's show as we kind of go into tomorrow. Again, you'll wake up from your slumber tonight, and some of the guys that we talk about tonight as being, you know, available will be gone by the time you wake up from your sleep in the morning. But let's start on the offensive side of the football, because quite a few guys are no longer available. So running back wise, I know some of you, Ed, was very smitten by Rico Dowdle. Gone. He's going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. That's a great fit for him, by the way. So he is no longer available. You go to the receiver position. I don't think too much more has happened there. As I'm looking at my list, I don't think anybody has signed there of note. Tight end, same thing. I don't think anybody else has signed. I think the last signing that we saw that was of note was Noah Fant right before we got off around 6 to the New Orleans Saints. So I think that's still a position with a few guys left. So you go to the defensive side. That's where a lot of the activity has been. So edge is still pretty available for the most part. A lot of the veterans are still available. A couple of young guys are still available, but we've done our damage there, I believe. I think that the next thing that they're going to do at defensive end is try to re-sign Jacob Martin. I don't really see them dipping their toe back into the edge rusher water. They could for a DJ Wanham or someone of that ilk once the market kind of settles. But Dietrich Wise being brought back, Drake Jackson being brought back, and then signing Odafe Oweh. You still have Javonte John Baptiste coming back. You still have Dorrance Armstrong coming back. So I don't envision them doing too much more to the position. We'll see what happens. Defensive tackle, we've already explored that with Tim Settle. So we go to the linebacker position, and this was a position that I told you I didn't think they would do much at. If they did, it would be like a veteran that they bring in here, like Eric Wilson. Someone told me he re-signed with the Vikings, which would make sense if he did. I haven't gone to check on it. because it didn't matter to me enough to do so. But I think someone said he re-signed with the Vikings. If that's the case, then I have no idea what they're going to do. They may bring back Bobby Wagner. I kid. They're not bringing Bobby Wagner back, but I know some of you, it's in the back of your mind, and you guys are you're going through it right now. But I laugh because you guys are hilarious. But this was a market that I didn't think the Commanders would really be seriously in, right? I gave you the plan. We're going to go over the plan again tonight so I can refresh some of your memories. And maybe some of you didn't watch that video when I gave you the plan for the Commanders and what I expected from them in free agency, because they haven't really deviated from said plan to this point. So Devin Bush is off the market. Quay Walker got signed by the Raiders right as we were getting off. So those were two of the top backers. They're gone. If Eric Wilson is gone too, back to Minnesota, that's a guy that I thought could be in the mix. Devin Lloyd, I told you we weren't going to be in his market. He's gone. He is, where did he end up? And it was I told you, everybody was talking all crazy about Devin Lloyd and the money that they thought. I was like, his market, because he's not that good. And they kept telling me he could make 20-something million. I'm like, no. He got a 3-year, $45 million deal. That's Devin Lloyd money. That's good, solid money for Devin Lloyd. Where did he end up? Let me check and see. I don't know why I can't remember where he ended up. And it was a team that I thought made a couple of moves throughout the course of the day too. Panthers. They spent some money. Panthers. And that's a good deal for them. 3 years, $45 million. So he's off the market. Demario Davis is gone. Not that that was going to be a guy that we would have been sniffing around, but he's gone. 2 years, $22 million to the Jets. Nakobe Dean is gone. That wasn't one of my targets, but some fans had brought his name up. I'm not a Nakobe Dean fan. Dallas apparently was in on Nakobe Dean. He chose Vegas along with Quay Walker, so they're both going to Vegas. So the linebacker position has been pretty much destroyed, right? Like if you had any interest there of getting something young, your hope is that they either love our linebackers, which may not really get you warm and fuzzy and excited, or Sonny Styles is the guy that they're going to target in the draft. Again, Sonny Styles or Jeremiah Love, I don't think you can go wrong either way. So maybe that is going to be their angle. I told you Durante Jones is a wild card in all of this because he may love our linebackers. We can't say what he does or doesn't believe in. Cornerback, this is the big question mark now because they made a move today that I felt like was a good move. It's a solid move, a guy that I like a lot, and I told you guys as much, but that's far from a move that moves the needle in a way that makes you feel like the secondary is going to be this strength of the team. Again, I told you guys this when we first went through Durante Jones and his scheme. Go back to that video. I won't bore you with the details because I've already done that before, but I basically told you if there's one position in that defense that you can skimp a bit on, it's cornerback. You need really good safety play, you need really good linebacker play, and you need really good defensive line play. Corners, you saw what they spent on the cornerback position, and in that video, I told you some of the names of corners and their ages and where they were in their careers when they played in that scheme under Brian Flores, and the defense still thrived because you don't have to have elite cornerback play for that defense to work the way that it should. So they could very well be telling us without telling us, this is what you're getting out of the cornerback position for right now. I hope that's not the case. At least give me one more, especially if you're not going to do anything of note at safety. And the last guy that I was truly interested in the safety market, Reed Blankenship, went to the Houston Texans as if they needed more playmakers and guys that take the football away in that secondary for the Texans. And so there's nothing really left that I'm excited about. Maybe Nick Cross, but even that wouldn't really excite me at this point. At the cornerback position, at the safety position. And so there's still guys like Kevin Byard and Donovan Wilson out there. Kevin Byard, we know he's a ball hawk, but safety doesn't feel like, and I told you as much, I didn't think safety would be something that they would really fool around with. Cornerback, though, Nashawn Wright is still available. Monteric Brown is still available. Cam Taylor-Britt still available. Greg Newsome and Tariq Woolen all still available at the cornerback position. So there's still some stuff available if they wanted to go that route. But we saw a number of guys sign. And let's just run through a few names. So Devin Lloyd, 3 years, $45 million in Jackson, in Carolina. So he's off the board now. Let's see. We got some money here with some of these guys. That's a little bit more accurate, but we don't need to do that right now. Let's save that for tomorrow. Steelers signing Rico Dowdle. Quincy Williams is going to be a Brown. That was another linebacker. If you were interested, he's not available any longer. He's a Brown, 2 years, $17 million. I talked about Reed Blankenship, 3 years, $24 million. I really would have loved to have seen us do that. The one that hurt the most, though, as soon as I got off, I was talking to my wife and I said, shit, I knew this shit was going to happen. Rashid Shaheed went back to the Seahawks. I told you he didn't want to leave. He could have got more than $17 million a year on the open market. I don't think he ever was interested in leaving Seattle. They always said they wanted him back. I told you he's a West Coast kid. He's never really left the West Coast other than when he was in New Orleans. Probably was elated to get back on the left coast when he got traded to Seattle, and probably never wanted to leave. That's a little bit disappointing, but it was to be expected. I told you guys, I didn't see Alec Pierce getting out of Indy, and I didn't see him getting out of Seattle, and neither of them left their previous teams. So that was the one that I went, wow, 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 wow. But again, that was kind of to be expected. I was just hoping, fingers were crossed, that, the money would talk to him, but I don't think he ever was really entertaining leaving Seattle. I think he always wanted to be there. Just like Alec Pierce could have made more money if he wanted to leave Indy, and he didn't want to. So anyway, I digress. So 5 teams have not signed an outside free agent yet. The Eagles, the Broncos, the Jaguars, the Seahawks, and the Packers. All of them lost key free agents today. You know what they're doing, right? They're doing the old compensatory pick formula, execution right now. Not going to sign any free agents. Going to let guys walk away, sign big contracts. So next year, like this year, the Eagles have 4 compensatory picks. Damn those bastards. But your shit's got to be set up tight to be able to do this. You got to have like 9 or 10 draft picks to be able to pull this off. Not need anything in free agency, have an ironclad roster, let guys walk, still have enough depth to cover those guys that are walking, and be able to bring in more young, cheap talent to offset some of the guys that are leaving. Our program isn't built that way right now. So we still have a ways to go before we can get to the point where we're losing guys, not signing anyone, and you guys aren't freaking out at the same time. So that is that. So let's just get to us and what we were able to do today. And I want to start in sequential order of how the day went. So first thing that happened, it took a little while. We were probably a good, I'd say, an hour into free agency, maybe. It's probably like going on 2 o'clock. And this hit from Schefter. Commanders Pro Bowl left tackle Laramie Tunsil reached an agreement on an extension, $60.2 million contract extension with Washington per his business manager. There are $61.1 million in guarantees, including the biggest signing bonus for our offensive lineman at 32.5. Tunsil, and then he goes on to talk about Tunsil was the first guy to get $20 million a year for an offensive tackle. Then he was the first guy to get $25 million a year for an offensive tackle. Now he's the first guy to get $30 million a year for an offensive tackle, as the extension is $60 million over 2 years. You can do the math. 60 divided by 3, or excuse me, 60 divided by 2 is 30. So you don't need to be a rocket science. You don't need to have slept at Holiday Inn last night to do the math. So Adam, and so it was so funny because so first of all, shout out to Laramie Tunsil. Shout out to Adam Peters for getting this done, for sitting down at the table, figuring this out, and getting it done, right? That's the first thing. Congrats are in order. It's funny because so many of you just 2-3 days ago, we were talking and you were, I'm nervous about Laramie. Why isn't this deal done? And this, that. So all of you were so on edge about this deal getting done. And Adam Peters throws us, you know, you were starving. A lot of you were starving for something in free agency. We're an hour in. Oh my God, we haven't done anything. He throws you something to eat. And it's some shit you were just starving. Your stomach was touching your back just 2-3 days ago for this type of news. And he throws you something to eat to fill your tummy. Delicioso. So you can calm down. You're not yourself when you're hungry. Try this Laramie Tunsil extension. You'll feel a lot better, right? And with the quickness, y'all slap that shit out of his hand. I don't want that shit. Go get me a free agent. You should have seen the way you were conducting yourselves. Here you are starving. This man offers you something to put in your tummy to stop the quiet stomach rumblings. And you slapped it out of his hand. I don't want that shit. Go get me an edge rusher. Go get me a receiver. Go get me a corner. Unbelievable. Just 2 days ago, you guys were crying that this wasn't done. I don't trust him. What is he doing? Okay, so that shit tickled me. That this is big news. It freed up more cap space. It got the deal done. Now we don't have to worry about this lingering into the offseason. And you guys were so dismissive of this. Unreal. So I knew at that point, Adam, do something. Come on. I knew at that point, this is going to get really ugly if he doesn't do something big soon. Like, they're really going to turn on him, right? So we keep going. We get into the 2 o'clock hour, and I think we get to a rate around maybe 2:30, 2:45, and then this hits. Tom Pelissero. The Commanders are signing veteran cornerback Amik Robertson to a 2-year, $16 million deal with 9.3 of it guaranteed, right? So I go, okay, not the cornerback signing that I was expecting to be first, but you guys, again, anybody that's followed me knows I love Amik Robertson's game. Loved him coming out of La Tech. I thought that he got a raw deal in Vegas. And, you know, sometimes the transition isn't as smooth when you come out of college. And he was a boundary corner in college. You know, the first thing anybody wants to do with a guy his size, they just want to stick him inside. You play nickel. You're 5'8". You got to play nickel. And Amik is more comfortable outside. It was the same thing we talked about with Jimmy Moreland. Not that Jimmy was nice, but Jimmy was always a boundary corner at James Madison. And then we draft him, and first inclination is, Jimmy, you too small, you undersized, we got to put you inside. And not everybody thrives inside. I think it took him a little while to adjust to the NFL game, playing inside. Again, that shit is not for everyone. And it's a lot more difficult to play inside than it is outside. And it took a little while. I think towards the end of his Raiders career, he started to figure it out. They started to move him around a little bit, play him some boundary. Then he got to Detroit, and I think he started to really blossom. And the guy that I fell in love with at La Tech started to show up in Detroit, specifically in 2024, when the Lions defense wasn't a sieve. Last year, everybody on the Lions defense sucked because they had so many injuries. They got no pressure on the quarterback. Their secondary was ravaged. Both of their starting safeties, basically missed the entire season for the most part. They were a mess defensively. And so guys like Amik Robertson struggled, right? He suffered because of it. He also played with a club, as you can see on his hand. So his tackling wasn't very good. But there are going to be people who try to convince you that Amik Robertson stinks. And it's the people that go look at, it's PFF numbers. He was 110 out of 125 corners. And he was this, and that. Like, man, if you ain't watch him, shut up. Okay? If you don't know his game, then I don't really want to have a conversation about Amik Robertson. You can't talk to me about Amik Robertson if you haven't watched him play. If you know his game and you don't like him, different story. We can have a conversation. You can tell me why you don't like his game and why you don't think he's going to be a great fit. But if you're just going off of numbers and you never watched him, you don't know what he brings to the table, then we can't talk. No, this isn't Tevin Campbell. Can we talk? No, not even for a minute. All right? He's a dog. We got a dog here. All right? And that's what you're looking. We need more of them. I've been talking about it. We don't have enough dogs on defense. This is a guy that looks to force turnovers. He is a guy that plays extremely hard and is always around the football. You need guys like this. Where is he going to fit into this defense? Don't know. That's for them to figure out and solve down the road. But add dogs. Add dogs and we'll figure out the rest later. Okay? Now, upon this move happening, the crash out ascended to new heights. Okay. The crash out it started to get to epic levels now because they've waited this long. The Laramie Tunsil deal, they slapped that food out of Adam Peters' head. Get that shit out of here. They demanded a free agent and then they got Amik Robertson. That shit did not sit well with the fan base. Oh my God, he's cheap. Adam Peters is the worst. I knew he was going to do this shit. Get this man the hell out of here. He's got all this money. He's going home with timeouts. Ron went home with timeouts and he's going home with money in his pocket. I was like, you guys do know we're just a shade over 2 hours in to free agency, right? Like, we got plenty of time. Free agency doesn't end today. If you don't get everything out of the store today, it's not over, right? Okay. They won't try to hear that shit. So start picking apart Amik Robertson. I'm happy with it as long as they're not done at corner. But then I keep thinking to myself, I knew that this could be a possibility. I told you Durante Jones is the wild card because we have no idea what he is telling Adam Peters and company about the guys that already existed there. We know that Trey Amos is a part of this defense. And I don't care whether you like it or not, Mikey Samer still is a part of this defense. And I kept telling y'all, they got a guy named Byron Murphy in Minnesota that was playing corner. His dimensions look a lot like Mikey Samer still. They're identical players, if you ask me. They might be leaving, Mikey outside. And I don't want to take this Amik Robertson signing as proof that they're going to leave Mikey outside because they could still go out and do something. But I just want you guys to know that Adam Peters drafted Mikey Samer still in the second round. They didn't draft him in the second round to sit him on the bench. Okay. They drafted him in the second round so he could play football. So whether he's got to start at boundary or he's starting at nickel, they want him on the field. So they're not going to go sign a corner that's going to force Mikey inside where he may struggle or force him completely off the field altogether. So, because I think they signed Amik Robertson. This ain't a 2-year, $7 million deal they signed Amik Robertson to. right? This ain't one of those Jonathan Jones deals from last year, where you sign a guy to a 1 year, $7 million deal, 1 year, $6 million, 1 year, $5 million deal where he's just a backup. He's just depth. They signed Amik Robertson to, hey, we need you to play money. So again, I'm not saying that they're done at corner, but I wouldn't be shocked if they're done with they're not going after any of these other guys, is what I'm saying. I wouldn't be shocked if they just fill out the roster with depth, like they bring back Jonathan Jones and then they draft somebody, and that's our cornerback room. That shit would not be ideal at all. At all. They got to do more. I hope they understand that. Because injuries happen in this league, and you have to have the proper depth. But again, if there's one position, I can't stress this enough, in this defense that you can get away with having guys like who they have last year, Fabian Moreau. And what's the other guy that was a former first round pick that has been a jag in the league? I can't remember his name. But having guys like that, not to mention Isaiah Rodgers is starting for you opposite of Byron Murphy. Again, these are not household names that they had out there in Minnesota. They had guys that got them by at the cornerback position. And they were cool with that. I think Durante Jones may be as well. We'll see. But so the crash out started to reach dangerous levels, right? And the day kept going and going. And the part that made it worse is you're starting to see teams like Tennessee. Because my rallying cry early was, well, yeah, Tennessee's got a bunch of money and the Raiders got a bunch of money and they're not out here spending crazy. So just relax. They'll spend eventually. And then the Raiders spent on Tyler Linderbaum. And then the Raiders spent on the receiver from Minnesota, Speedy Naylor. And then the Raiders started to spend a little bit of money. And then the Titans said, F it. All right. They just started making it rain. All right. Anybody that was anybody, right? Everybody that Brian Daboll wanted on offense from the Giants. All right. Daniel Bellinger, come on down. Mitchell Trubisky, you were my backup in Buffalo. You come on down. Wan'Dale Robinson, I love you. Come on down, right? So they got busy on offense. Then they turned around. Hey, John Franklin Myers. Oh, love you. You come on down. And then they went out Cordell Flott and Alontae Taylor. Both of y'all come on down. They got wicked, did the Titans. And Commanders fans are watching this shit and they're going, and then you started seeing some of these edge rushers come off the board, and you're like, he doing this shit again, ain't he? That's how y'all was starting to react, like this one bullshit. And then you start seeing some of this money that's being thrown out, and you're like, hey, we got a ton of it though. Money ain't an issue, right? Money ain't a thing. That's what a wise man once told me. Money ain't a thing. We got it. So why the hell we ain't spending it? So the day keeps going. Guys are coming off the board. At this point, I've got 10 of my top 25 free agents gone, right? Guys are, people are getting nervous. And then they serve up this one. And again, I've been talking about them doing this for a while, and this was something that was pretty high on the priority list for me. Tom Pelissero, Commanders are re-signing back up Marcus Mariota to a 1 year, $7 million deal. Per sources, he can make up to 11 with incentives. And much like the Laramie Tunsil deal, the fan base quickly rejected this shit. Get this shit out of here. I don't give a shit about Marcus Mariota. Where's the big flash? Where's the big splash? Where's the big free agent signings? And I am just over here on some McDonald's shit. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving it. It's hilarious. They're going ape shit. Louie, you told us he was going to do this. I said, I ain't tell y'all shit other than we signing 3 big-time contracts. I didn't tell you when them shits was going to happen. I expected at least one of them today. At that point, it hadn't happened yet. I was surprised at that point. And it was the Boye Mafe signing with the Bengals where I went, uh-oh. Now you've got Jalen Phillips gone, Boye Mafe gone. If you don't get Odafe Oweh, which was number 6 on my list, so I thought very highly of him. You don't get him. Now you swimming around in them Quiddy Pay waters, and that's a dangerous place to be. You don't want to be having to sign Quiddy Pay or Arnold Ebakiti or none of that shit. We don't want to go down that path. That path leads to nowhere. That's a dead end. So I was like, hey, AP, man, look, I know shit's been a little crazy today. You done struck out a couple of times on dudes you were really interested in. Fan base was really high on getting Isaiah Likely. Told you that shit wasn't going to happen. Fan base was interested in Alec Pierce. Told you that shit wasn't going to happen. Some of the fan base was really high on shucks, what was my guy's name? Some of the fan base was high on Kenneth Walker, some on Travis Etienne. Told you they weren't going to do any of that. And then I told them the fan base safety wasn't going to be really in the cards. Kobe Bryant came off the board. Brian Cook came off the board. And all of a sudden, you're looking around. Devin Bush is off, if you were interested in him. And you're seeing some of these corners go. I talked about Alontae Taylor gone and all that stuff. And Kingsley Enagbare was gone. Not that that was somebody that really interests most of you, but the pool felt like it was shrinking, right? The pool felt like it was shrinking. And I know that's when I started to feel like, uh-oh, Adam, you better do something. Come on. You know, I felt like Dave Chappelle when he's like, Ernie, come on. You want to get this one? You know, like, Adam, come on. You want to get this one? You want to go get Odafe Oweh? You want to go get this one? Don't let this one get away, buddy. So as soon as I started to get a little nervous, I couldn't show that to you guys because you were already crashing out. Last thing you needed was for me to crash out. I wasn't going to crash out anyway, but I was a little nervous, like, hey, AP, bro, like, we need one of these edge rushers. Like, corner, I'm not going to trip on corner. If you don't do nothing else, I'll be disappointed, much like I was with the receiver position last year. But I ain't going to trip because I know in this defense, you can get away with some, you know, basic corners. The shit is not a necessity. This edge rushers thing is a real deal. Like, we don't have shit, bro. And I'm not willing to see what this Drake Jackson experiment looks like and be relying on that shit to come through for us in order to have some sort of success or some semblance of a pass rush. You got to go get us a real dog up front. And as soon as I said that, and I'm talking about the crash out was it was at a crescendo. That Marcus Mariota shit sent dudes over the top. All right. Now, every comment, every super chat, everything that I'm reading, everything that people are saying is somebody crashing out. I mean, out of control. Clearance rack. They're going to sign Bobby and Simo and all of these guys. I mean, the crash out had reached epic levels. And then this happened. And if this didn't happen, I don't know what the hell would have become of today. All right. I don't know what the hell would have happened today, but this saved the day. This is from our guy, Ari. Breaking, the Commanders are signing Odafe Oweh to a 4-year, $100 million deal. Per Schefter, Odafe exploded for 10.5 sacks with the Chargers, including the playoffs, after being acquired in a trade from Baltimore. So, Ari went on to also say about the deal, and this is the first time I had heard this. Some of you had probably already been hip to this, but I hadn't at the time. He also had this in the tweet that he put out about us signing. Well, he retweeted and posted this. He commented, the Commanders have finished in second place on a bunch of big targets so far today. They finally got one. And what he was referencing was the Commanders were in on Alec Pierce. The Commanders were in on Isaiah Likely. The Commanders were in on Tyler Linderbaum. So again, this was not for a lack of trying. It just weren't able to get guys to agree for one reason or another, right? Again, I would have been pissed off if they would have signed Tyler Linderbaum to a $27 million a year deal. I would have been pissed about that. Not paying $27 million for no goddamn center. That shit is stupid. That's cocaine prices. I want a center on crack prices, not cocaine prices. That's ridiculous. So I would have been pissed off if we would have won that. Even if that shit would have been for $24 million or something, I'd be like, what the hell are you doing? What are you doing? I'd have been pissed off. But luckily enough for us, the Raiders outbid us. Sometimes it's the moves you don't make that ultimately end up being the best damn moves that you do make, right? And so I was glad we didn't get him. Alec Pierce, I'm going to be honest with you. That's too much goddamn money for Alec Pierce. It's too much damn money. I like Alex Pierce. I like what he brings to the table. I don't like him that goddamn much. I don't like him that much. And look, he wanted to stay in Indy. It wouldn't have mattered. 49ers offered more money. Patriots offered more money. And we were somewhere in the ballpark. And he decided, I want to go back to Indy. So you weren't going to win that anyway, right? And then Isaiah Likely, I just think that came down to being comfortable. He was comfortable with John Harbaugh. All right, $40 million is not a lot of money. 3 years, that's $13 million a year. You could have offered him a $42 million contract. You could have offered him a 45. We've been doing the 3-year, $45 million thing for the last 2 years. You could have tossed him one of those. I don't think that's what it was. I really think he wanted a certain amount. Once they hit that mile marker, as long as it was coming from Harbaugh, he was cool. Get me to 40 and I'm good. I'll sign on the dotted line. But here's what I will say off of that information. The fact that he was interested in a center, in a tight end, and a wide receiver tells you that they are interested in adding those positions if it's the right guy for the right price. So what that tells me is tight end isn't off the table. A Chig, a Okonkwo, or someone of that ilk could definitely end up here. A David Njoku, someone like that could definitely end up here. All right. Not saying that they will, but they were interested in Isaiah Likely. So that means they're interested in tight end. They could have just been interested in just Isaiah Likely, and that's it. They could have just been interested in Tyler Linderbaum, and that's it. They could have been just interested in Alec Pierce. I highly doubt that. Of all of those positions that we just talked about and all those players, I doubt that wide receiver, that's the only guy they were interested in. That's the guy that they were willing to spend that type of money on. But we know they still like Juwan Jennings. Adam Peters has a relationship with him. And I think in the back of Adam's mind, and he's human, you can't help but think this way, we're getting Brandon Ayuk. So I don't need to do anything reckless at receiver. I don't need to go out here and overspend for somebody else if I know I got Brandon in my back pocket. So after not getting Alec Pierce, they probably just fell back there. I still think they're going to do something at receiver, but you need speed. And Ayuk, again, not a speed demon. You got 2 roster spots for receivers on this roster right now. Ayuk's going to occupy one. The other guy has to be able to run. I'm thinking it's going to be, and I've been saying his name. I know some of y'all do not want to hear this shit, but Tyquan Thornton, I would not be shocked if he is a Commander based off of the fact that they are clearly, Alec Pierce, looking for somebody with wheels that can stretch the field vertically. And they should be. Last year was a damn catastrophe. We had nobody that scared opposing defenses vertically when Terry was out of the lineup. So you get the Oweh signing, everybody starts to calm down just a little bit. My God, what a day. You guys were showing the entire ass, your entire ass Some of y'all even spread your cheeks and was trying to show your asshole. It was disgusting. Okay. But some of y'all decided, all right, I'll take a bite out of the Snickers now. I'm not myself when I'm hungry. He just fed us. I'll relax now. And then just for a little bit of icing on the cake, he's like, y'all know Tim Settle, right? That's y'all boy, right? We was like, you talking about Timmy from Virginia Tech back in 2018, Tim? Yeah, that's our boy, man. How he doing? Man, you'll never believe this. I ran into Tim the other day and I was like, bro, you trying to come home? He was like, man, what you talking about, Willis? What you talking about, Adam? I said, hey, could use a little bit of depth at defensive tackle. If you trying to come home, we'll bring you home. He was like, bet. So our guy is back. This is from Mike Garofalo. The Commanders are bringing back a familiar face, defensive tackle, Tim Settle, on a 3-year, $24 million deal worth up to $25.5 million. A deal done by his agent. He was a former 2018 fifth-round pick. A guy that I think most of us really enjoyed when he was here. And he did some good things when he left here, right? I thought he hooped in 2024 with the Texans. Dealt with an injury last year, so his production was a little muted. But I love this signing. Again, so this capped off the day, and it sets the stage for tomorrow and where we are going into tomorrow. I'm really happy to have Tim back. I'll talk about why that's important as we go through the plan, right? I did this video about 5 days ago or so, the plan on what I thought the team was going to do. And so let's talk about it. And I'm going to start checking some of this stuff off because obviously some of these things have happened already. So let me get my marker and we'll see what's left on the checklist for the Commanders to do. So first up on offense, I had quarterback, re-sign Marcus Mariota. Well, did that today. Check. The next thing on offense, and this is not in any particular order. I just went through every position group and told you what I felt like the plan was going to be at the position. First thing, it was 2 steps at running back. They were going to sign a free agent running back. They have yet to do that. Kenneth Gainwell, Tyler Algier, or Rachaad White. Pick one of the 3. Well, Algier is gone, so is Kenneth Gainwell. So I think you know where they're going to go. I thought it was going to be Rachaad White all along anyway, but now they don't have a choice. All right. If they're going to get a veteran, and I think they kind of I think they're taking advantage of certain situations. Rachaad White is one of them. They know he wants to be here. He wants to play with Jaden. They don't have to rush on him, right? Put him on the back burner and let him chill. So, all right. I think that's going to happen either tomorrow or Wednesday, that they're going to sign a free agent running back. I really think it's going to happen tomorrow, right? They'll sign Rachaad White tomorrow. The second part of the running back position is bring back one of 2 guys, either C-Rod or J-Mac. I think it's going to be J-Mac. Right? I think they're going to bring back Jeremy McNichols. I personally would have been cool if neither one of those bastards were back. But, let me not call them bastards. I would have been cool if neither one of those guys were back. But both of these guys are solid. I have no issues with either one of them. And I think the guy they're going to bring back is J-Mac. They love him. They love him on specials. They love his versatility. You know, I think he's going to be the one they bring back. But I would advocate for C-Rod, but whatever. They're going to bring one of those 2 guys back to kind of round out the room, so to speak. Wide receiver. Add a number 2 wide receiver. Romeo Doubs, Juwan Jennings, Jalen Naylor, or Brandon Ayuk. 3 of those 4 guys are still available, right? Romeo Doubs, Juwan Jennings, and Ayuk. And Ayuk is clearly going to be in Washington. Will they add either of the other 2? I doubt that they add either one of them if they're adding Ayuk because, again, you still need a guy with speed. And so they're going to add a number 2 receiver, and it's probably going to be Brandon Ayuk. Then the second part of that receiver position is add speed. right? And so Tyquan Thornton or De'Ami Brown reunion, I think that's going to take place as well. One of those two guys will be added in addition to Brandon Ayuk, okay? So the wide receiver plan, the running back plan seems like it's still working according to plan right now. They haven't executed anything yet, but tight end, I really was looking at this objectively because I knew they weren't going to get Isaiah Likely. I said, tight end, add pass catching tight end unless, in all caps, they believe in Sennett/Yankoff. And so Chigakonkwo or Greg Dulcich were the two options. Well, Greg Dulcich is gone. He re-signed in Miami. So Chigakonkwo is not your only option. He's the best option, though. So we'll see what they decide to do. They may just believe in Ben Sennett and Colson Yankoff. That's a realistic possibility. One that you may not want to hear, but told you guys that already. Offensive line, I said either you re-sign Chris Paul before free agency or you lose him. They're going to add a few low-level, low-impact signings, and they have yet to really do that, but they did get busy on the offensive line already. Don't think they're going to re-sign Chris Paul, but he didn't jump out there. I thought with the way people were talking, he was going to jump out there and grab some cash on day one of the tampering period, and he did not. All right. Defense. First thing on the list, and this was at the top of the list of everything. This was at the very tippy top of the list. Edge rusher, two-step process. Add a starting caliber edge. You had to do this. I gave them 3 names to choose from: Boye Mafe, Odafe Oweh, and DJ Wanham. Right? DJ Wanham was only thrown in because of his familiarity with Durante Jones. They took Odafe Oweh, which was the best of them. I told you he was 6th on my top 25 list of free agents. So check mark there. They had to do that. That was not optional. If you do not do this, we have a problem. The second piece is bring back Jacob Martin. Don't rule out Von Miller. Let's hope that they rule out Von Miller and just bring back Jacob Martin. I think that's still going to be done. They already brought back Drake Jackson, and I think they're going to bring back Jacob Martin. Next piece was defensive tackle. Add low-level, low-impact defensive tackle. I ran off a bunch of names. Roy Lopez. Don't rule out Eddie Goldman's return. Kyrus Tonga, he signed today with the Kansas City Chiefs, the Kyrus Tonga. So that ended up being Shy Tuttle. And you say Shy City. Shy Tuttle was the low impact, low level signing. They surprised me with adding another guy, which I love, in Tim Settle. That's not a low impact signing. That's a good quality depth signing. Like if something happens to one of our starters, Tim Settle can start. Because I don't trust Johnny Newton. I don't trust Johnny Newton. And maybe neither do they. We'll see. Maybe Johnny gets busy this year in this defense. We'll see. Linebacker. I told you guys that I didn't think they were going to go after any of the big fish linebackers. I kind of felt that in my spirit, that they weren't going to go after the Quay Walkers, the Devin. I knew they weren't going after Devin Lloyd. They didn't need to go after him. But Quay Walker was a name that kept coming up and surfacing. But I said, add a veteran to the young core. It's a young group of linebackers. It really is, right? So adding a veteran to that mix, outside of Frankie Louvu, it's a bunch of young guys. Ale Cajo, Jordan McGee, Kane Madrano. They're all young. So adding a veteran to that mix would make some sense. I said Eric Wilson because of his ties to Minnesota and Durante Jones. Apparently he's gone back again. I can't confirm nor deny that. But I also put don't rule out adding a young stud like Quay Walker, but I didn't think it would happen. They can still add a veteran linebacker to this mix. Or they could just keep the young movement going and draft a guy like Sonny Styles. This is a really good linebacker draft. So I'm not tripping if they don't get a Sonny Styles and instead get a Jacob, Rodriguez. again, hoping that he's available in the third round if you don't draft Sonny Styles. If Sonny Styles and Jeremiah Love are both available at 7, I want Jeremiah Love. You could find a linebacker that can help run this defense and it not have to be a cyborg, right? And then cornerback. This was the next thing after edge. This was the next most important thing. Sign a premium cornerback, which they have not done. They did add a corner, but what if they're not going to sign a premium corner after all? I listed Jalen Watson. He went off very early to the Rams. Reek Woolen, still available. Alontae Taylor, he's gone to the Titans. Monteric Brown, he's still available. Josh Jobs, he went back to Seattle. Greg Newsome, as a lower level guy, he's still available. So they can still sign a premium corner, and they need to do something at corner. Even if it's not a premium corner, they still need to add more depth to the position. You still don't have enough. And then the second piece was add depth, don't rule out Jonathan Jones returning. Well, they still need to add more depth. Adding Amik Robertson is a good signing, but it doesn't solve the cornerback position. So, we'll see if somebody just said Monteric Brown re-signed with the Jags. Is that accurate? Let's see. If that's true, then take another guy off the list. Take another guy with some upside off the list. Let's check and see if that is accurate. Why not? Let's try to refresh something. See what's going on. A Chiefs signed Alohi Gilman, 3 years, $24 million. Tyquan Thornton went back to the Chiefs, 2 years, $11 million. So there goes that idea. If you were looking for some speed, Tyquan Thornton is off the table. 2 years, $11 million for Tyquan Thornton. We could have done that. We could have done that. So Tyquan Thornton is no longer available. So you can remove him from the equation of potential guys that the Commanders could sign. Let's see. Kyle Allen is going back to the Bills. Kendrick Bourne was on my list of receivers. I didn't highlight him, but he was on my list. He's going to Arizona. Yeah, he's going to Arizona on a 2-year, $10 million deal that can get up to $12 million. Isaac Suomalo is going to the Cardinals on a 3-year deal. Yeah, I don't see that anywhere. Not saying that it didn't happen, but I don't see that being reported anywhere. But there'll be a lot of things going on. A lot of guys moving. A lot of dudes have already agreed to. Over 100 players have already agreed in principle to deals. So it's easy to miss a few of them. So that was the plan, right? So far, nothing they've done tells me that they're going to deviate from the plan. Everything that is on the plan is still available. Nothing is that was a part of the plan that I've put together that I thought they would try to go out and execute is no longer available. They can still get one of those running backs that I'd referenced. They can still bring back, C-Rod or J-Mac. They can still add one of those 4 receivers. 3 of them are still available. or Brandon Ayuk will make it 3. And that's the guy that we think they're going to add. They can still add speed. Tutu Atwell is available. De'Ami Brown is still out there. Like, there's still other guys that can run, right? But Tyquan was the fastest of all of them. So they may not add a pass-catching tight end. They may still decide to add one. We'll see. Chris Paul will be interesting to see what happens with him, right? Looks like they're willing to lose him. They can still re-sign him because they're giving him a chance to test the free agent waters. Nothing is surfaced yet, but tomorrow's a new day. Anything can happen there. They got the edge that they needed, right? Still can bring back Jacob Martin. I still think that's going to happen. They added a low-level, low-impact defensive tackle and then doubled down on the position, which I liked a lot by getting Tim Settle. They can add a veteran linebacker to the young core that they already have. I still think that's something that is within play, within reason and in play. And they can still sign a premium corner, although I'll be honest with you, doesn't really feel like that's going to take place. At this point, it doesn't really feel like that's going to happen. Let me check on Montaric Brown just to see if he re-signed with them or what. Yep, Montaric Brown to stay with the Jaguars on a 3-year, $33 million deal. So he's off the table as well. So the options for the Commanders at cornerback are continuing to dwindle if they want to swim in those waters. I'm not sure that they do. I'm not sure if they do. I don't know if they necessarily feel like they need to add a premium corner. They may feel like in this system, Durante might have told them, I don't need an expensive corner, bro. Just give me some dogs, some guys that are feisty, that are aware, that that will take the football away, and I'm good. So, again, they're going off of the instructions that they've been given by their offensive and defensive coordinators in terms of what they want to do. We'll see what they decide to do. So, let's look at this list. Some of these guys have signed since this list came out, but these are the top free agents remaining. Now, obviously, Devin Lloyd has signed already, so some of these guys are no longer available. But I'll go through the list to tell you the guys that I'm interested in, guys that could move the needle for us, and we'll go from there. So, obviously, Trey Hendrickson, pretty high on most people's lists. I really believe, just like Devin Lloyd had to wait a little bit today, Trey Hendrickson is realizing that the market he set for himself, it just isn't materializing, right? Like, he wants to be paid for what he has done, and he's got to realize he got hurt last year. He's getting older. No one wants to sign you to a 3-year deal. He probably wants a 3-year deal. Probably going to have to settle for a 2-year deal, may even have to take a 1-year prove-it deal, which he's done. He doesn't want to do that. And then he wants a certain amount of money, and I don't know if he's going to get it. And he's going to have to come to that realization and probably sign, for an amount of money that isn't ideal necessarily. But he's got to understand there's a lot of factors kind of determining what his value is right now. I think he's figuring that out the hard way right now. Devin Lloyd signed already with the Panthers, so he's off this list. Tariq Woolen is available still. We'll see what happens with him. I still am holding out hope that the Commanders are intrigued by his talents. Rasheed Walker, we don't need a tackle, but he's pretty high on my list. I think he's like 5th or 6th. He's like 4th, 5th, or 7th, 8th on my list, something like that. 9th, something like that. A really good player for Green Bay. Chig Okonkwo. Again, know how I feel about him. Would love to see the Commanders add him. Romeo Doubs is a guy that's, on the short list of receivers that we'd be interested in. Kevin Byard is interesting at safety if they wanted to add a veteran. We know he can take the football away. Very smart, heady football player. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I don't love it. I wouldn't hate it. Nashawn Wright, I think there's a lot of buzz surrounding this kid. I'm not the biggest Nashawn Wright fan. I love his height, weight. You know, he's a height, weight, speed specimen, guy that can run, you know, can take the football away. Had a breakout year. Maybe he's figured it out, or maybe he just had a one-off. I think he's kind of waiting out to see what happens. Kaylavon Chason is very interesting. I thought he would have already signed by now, to be honest, coming off of a career year. Elijah Vera Tucker and Chris Paul, looks like some of these guards are having to wait. We saw centers come off the board today, but Elijah Vera Tucker, Chris Paul, and Wyatt Teller, probably the three best guards that were on the market, are all still waiting. So that's pretty interesting there. Kyler Murray, I suspect that either he's going to get something done tomorrow or he's going to wait a little while. Feels like Minnesota. It feels like he's destined for Minnesota. That's what it feels like. Taylor Decker asked for his release from the Lions. They granted it, so he's available. Braden Smith is another tackle that was on my top 25 list, somewhere in the late teens, early 20s. Indianapolis Colts tackle. Calvin Austin III, not interested. Somebody, I forgot who it was, tried to put Calvin Austin III on us. Debo Samuel. We know all about Debo. And there are some Commanders fans that would love to have Debo back. I am not one of them. I'm not opposed to it. I'm just not a big fan of it. Juwan Jennings, another guy that is definitely in bounds for the Commanders. But again, you only got two receiver spots in my mind. One of them has to be a guy that can run. Wyatt Teller, Jaquan Brisker at the safety position, they already replaced him with a much better option in Kobe Bryant. Caden Ellis is an interesting linebacker that the Commanders could add that I'm eyeballing. Him and Leo Chanel are the two linebackers that I'm eyeballing very strongly right now. I thought Atlanta would re-sign Caden Ellis, and he could still go back to Atlanta, but he's still out there. If they wanted to go get a linebacker, these are two guys that make a ton of sense if they decided to do that. Dallas Goedert, not interested. And Rachaad White, I think he is going to be a Commander tomorrow when it's all said and done. So that is the remaining list. Here's what I expect from the Commanders tomorrow. Then we'll get to the comment section and see what you guys have to say. So tomorrow, here's what I'm expecting. They sign a running back, Rachaad White. Let me be more specific. I think they're going to sign Rachaad White tomorrow, or agree to terms with Rachaad White tomorrow. We saw a lot of free agent backs get to the bag today, so I expect them to finish the deal tomorrow. I don't know if they're going to do anything at receiver tomorrow, but if they do, I don't think it's going to be any of the big names because they're waiting on Brandon Ayuk to get released. I think it'll be a guy that can run, some speed is my guess. And let's just go through what's left at the receiver position in particular. And let's just go through a few names of guys that can run and just see if any of them, tickle our fancy. Excuse me. See. So Tyreek Hill will be available. Christian Kirk, not a speed merchant. Debo Samuel, Darnell Mooney, De'Ami Brown can run, of course, and I could see them. That's a cheap option for them to fall back on. Tutu Atwell is another guy that can run, and he can return kickoffs. Like, again, a similar guy in the vein of a like he's a great value version of Rashid Shaheed is Tutu Atwell. Curtis Samuel is available. Marquise Hollywood Brown, Juwan Jennings, Khalif Raymond, DeAndre Hopkins, Greg Dortch, Noah Brown, Keenan Allen, Nick Westbrook-Akine, Jahan Dotson signed already. Don't know why he's on this list because he signed with the Atlanta Falcons or agreed with Atlanta. Kadero Hodge, Josh Reynolds, Tim Patrick, Zay Jones, Hunter Renfrow. Like, this is a very long list. John Mechie, Braxton Berrios. So again, there are no guys here that move the needle as I go down this list and I'm looking at names. These are all names that we would have been interested in last year when we thought we were contending for a title. But most of these names don't really move the needle. Romeo Doubs, Tyquan Thornton just went back to Kansas City. So, yeah. There are some options, but maybe, just maybe, they sign Brandon Ayuk and they draft another receiver. That's another possibility too. You know, we keep referencing free agency as if there's no draft and there's no other options available. I just find it hard to believe that they're going to draft a receiver 3 years in a row. They drafted one last year in the 4th round. They drafted one the year prior in the 3rd round. I just don't see them drafting another one for 3 years in a row, but they could definitely do that. So, tight end, I'm interested to see what they decide to do there. There are some guys still available. Chiga Okonkwo is still available. Will they bring back Jacob Martin tomorrow? I think that's something to look out for. I do think that's something that could happen tomorrow. Could they add a veteran linebacker tomorrow? They sure could. It's not out of the realm of possibility that that happens. And I think the one that we'll be looking out for the most is, will they sign another corner? Will it be premium? Will it be another depth type of corner? But do they do anything at corner? I feel like they have to do something else at corner. I noticed I didn't mention safety because I don't think they're doing a damn thing at safety. They love their safeties. We don't. They do. Okay, so I don't think they're doing anything at safety, unfortunately. Again, fresh eyes, fresh eyes, fresh eyes, fresh eyes. All right. So that's what I see happening tomorrow. Signing a running back, re-signing Jacob Martin, potentially signing a wide receiver, potentially signing a tight end, and potentially signing a corner. That's what I see. Let's get to the comment section and then we will bounce. Booker, been a member for 46 months. Salute. Book writes, Lou, what do we think about Dre Greenlaw? Not what do we think about, what do you think about Dre Greenlaw? I'm good on Dre Greenlaw. I'm good on him. If they brought him in here, I wouldn't be upset. But it's not a guy that I'm targeting like, oh, we got to go get him. No, I'm good on him. He's dealt with a myriad of injuries, right? And how many games has this man played in the last 2 seasons since the ACL injury? I'm just not interested in dudes that can't stay on the field at this point. It's a reason why he went there, signed a good contract, and then they moved on from him that quick after 1 year of signing that deal. He played in 2 games in 2024. He played in 2 games, and he played in 8 games last year. All right. I'm not really overly thrilled with the idea of bringing in a guy that's played in 10 games total out of a possible 34. He's played in 10 games in the last 2 seasons. Yeah, I'm good on that. But he's only 28, so it's not like he's super old. But he will be 29 in May. Again, that doesn't really bother me, but I'm not interested. I'm not interested. Skins again. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, CCT, smell that Oweh souffle, that Amik stew, AP cooking up. I'm praying J Love doesn't go to the Titans to rot. Hashtag bon appetit. Loved your stream today. I appreciate you, man. I really appreciate the love and the Oweh souffle, the Amik stew. Yeah, I liked what Adam Peters did today. It was a good mixture of depth and starters and taking care of your own. I think the Laramie Tunsil extension is so underrated because so many people were locked in and fixated on adding a big time name and making a splash that they overlooked a massive part of our offseason. Getting Laramie Tunsil done was probably at the top of most people's list. And then he does it, and they poo-poo it and slap that shit out of his hand. Like, get that shit out of here, man. Go get me a free agent. That's such a big part of day one, is Laramie Tunsil being extended on a 2-year deal. That's a conversation that we don't have to have the rest of the offseason. That's such a big deal, right? You couple that with Boye Mafe being signed, not to mention adding depth at corner and defensive tackle and bringing Marcus Mariota back. I think it was a really good day. But again, there's still guys out there. There's still money to be spent, and I still think they're going to spend. They have no choice. We have to fill this roster up. we got to do something, right? So I thought it was a pretty productive day. But anxious to see what tomorrow brings. James LaRue, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. James writes, Lou, I worked the graveyard shift. Stay up, bro. And stayed up till 2 p.m. to watch punters get signed left and right. They were coming off the board, those punters weren't they? Getting some good money, too. Prayers for me tonight. Your boy is tired, laughing my ass off. Well, hopefully you don't have to drive far for work. Because I know the struggle of driving tired. That shit is no game. It's not a joke. Hopefully you get to work okay and you're able to get through the shift. Get you some rest, man. Get you some rest. This shit will be here, bruh. Knowing you work the graveyard shift, sleep is so important, bruh. So important. Hang in there, James. Hang in there. C-Rob for President TV. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, I can't lie, Lou. I went back and watched Amik. He's a ball hawk, and he breaks on passes. I like him. I already told y'all he's a dog. You don't got to take my word for it, but you know I wouldn't lie to you. If I don't know a guy's game, I'm not going to sit here and act like I do. I just be like, all right, we'll see what he can do. I don't know him. You know what I mean? I don't know nothing about him. But I know Amik Robertson. He's a dog. I know why they went and got him. What's the plan for him? That's the only thing I would ask is, what's your plan for him? What you looking to do with him? Is he just depth? Do you have a specific role in mind for him in this defense? But he's a dog, man. I don't worry about him. The dude forces fumbles. He's around the football. Amik Robertson is one of those dudes that you look at and you go, if I'm getting into a fight, I definitely got Amik with me. He one of the dudes that's riding with me. For sure. We need more of those guys. They just added one. I've been asking for dogs, not the little puppies, right? I've been asking for the big junkyard dogs, right? Well, he ain't big in stature, but you can't measure his heart. And he got that chip on his shoulder of a guy that's always been told he's too small, and he plays like it. Again, I watched this man shut down Justin Jefferson. I watched this man. We watched him, I think it was Thursday night against the Cowboys this year, forced like 2-3 fumbles in that game. We watched this man do work. He liked that. James LaRue, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, off at 7 a.m., by the way, and clocked in at 10, but I'm here. Just get through the shift, bruh. That's the best I can tell you. Just get through the shift. Get some rest when you get home. I used to work a similar shift, bruh. I know the struggle. That ride in the morning, I remember one time I drove home, and the last maybe mile and a half, 2 miles, I can't tell you how I got home. Can't tell you how I got home. Just muscle memory. Because I'm like, bro, the last thing I remember, I was by the SPCA. Next thing you know, I'm pulling in the driveway, bro. That was by the grace of God I got home. Driving tired is not a game, so please be careful and get some rest. Christopher McLaughlin, stand up. You are the newest member of the MOBB mob. You know what to do. Show our guy Chris some love. Welcome him back home with some love. So glad to have you back home where you belong. Welcome to the squad. C-Mac, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Chris, writes, hey, Lou. How you doing, Chris? Hope all is well with you and the family. Likewise, as always. 3 questions. 1, what do you think still needs to be done in free agency to get an A grade and why? 2, for pick number 7, Downs or Love, your pick and why? That's an easy one. 3, what do you want to see addressed in free agency and free agency on the O-line and why? So the first one is probably the hardest because how do you get an A in free agency is you have to go out and get a bunch of big names, and we're not going to do that, right? If I sit here and try to talk you to death about how shrewd and smart of a move this is, and ain't nobody trying to hear that shit. I'll be talking to myself, right? Because fans ain't trying to hear that shit. They want names that move the needle. And sometimes it's about substance. It ain't about name. It's about what this guy's game is. Not his name, but his game. In order for them to get an A from me, they'd have to add speed at receiver because they're going to add Brandon Ayuk. So they got to add speed at receiver. They got to add a competent running back, Rachaad White, at this point. It's got to be Rachaad White because all the other backs are basically gone. So you got to add Rachaad White. You got to add speed at receiver because you're going to add Brandon Ayuk. You got to add another corner. And I would like it to be a premium, right? A Reek Woolen or someone like that. But you got to add a quality corner. Another quality corner. Don't know if they're going to do that. I don't think they can get an A because, in my mind, safety is broken and they need to fix it. And clearly, they are not interested in doing anything at safety. They like their safeties, which is scary. Linebacker, would have loved to have seen them add a Quay Walker or someone of that ilk. That ship has sailed. So I don't think they can get an A from me. What they can get is a satisfactory grade, right? They can get a B minus, which is cool. I'm not looking to win free agency. I'm not looking to win the offseason. I just want this team to get better. Tangibly better. I want to look at the players added in the offseason and say, well, this roster is better than the one we had last year going into camp. That's all I'm looking for them to do. And while you think to yourself that shouldn't be too hard, we'll see. You can get worse. Don't think because last year was horrible that you can't be worse. You can be worse. So we'll see what it looks like. But I don't think they can get an A. They'd have to do some drastic things, and I don't see that happening at this point. Wanted to add at least a safety, don't see that happening. Wanted to add a tight end, still could happen, probably won't. Wanted to see them add a quality linebacker, it still could happen, probably won't. Wanted to see them get a premium corner, still could happen, probably won't, right? They're going to add a running back, they're going to add a wide receiver, maybe 2. I think they could add a center. You asked about the O-line. So I don't think they can get an A, but I'm not fishing for an A. I've given out A grades in the offseason or for free agency before, and the team was a disaster. That's not what moves the needle for me. What kind of players did you get? Did we get better? That's what I'm after. And after day one, I say we got better. The defensive tackle position is in a much better spot right now than it was this time a year ago last season. A much better spot with Tim Settle now in the mix. You got a complete group of 4 defensive tackles that you should feel good about. Better than 2024, better than 2025. You have the best pass rusher we've had here in Washington probably since Ryan Kerrigan, I guess. Like, we got Von Miller at his washed up age and stage. Dorrance Armstrong, was potentially going to have a career year before the injury hit him last year. We haven't had a legitimate one-on-one can win and get to the quarterback pass rusher probably since Kerrigan. And Kerrigan wasn't winning with athleticism. I mean, when we signed Dante Fowler Jr., we didn't expect what we got. But that was the last double-digit pass rusher we had, and Odafe Oweh has a chance to come in here and be that for us. So I'm excited about that. He's better than anything we've had here in a while from a pass rush standpoint. So, they still got some work to do, but that position has a chance to be better, especially if Drake Jackson, Drizzy Drake, turns out to be able to get back to his second-round form. If they add the right receivers, that group is going to be, you can't be any worse than the group we put on the field last year, right? Jesus. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the receiving core is going to be better, right? So when it's all said and done, I think it's going to be better, right? I don't think they can get an A. The number 2 question is very simple. It's this Jeremiah Love. I've already stated why Jeremiah Love. I want something blue chip worthy. I want something, not that Downs isn't, but I want something that nobody else in the league or very few teams in the league have. And very few teams in the league have a Jeremiah Love. That kind of speed, we haven't had that since Clinton Portis, circa 2004. We haven't had that since they traded for Clinton Portis. That first year, after the first year, Clinton Portis was no longer that, home run threat back. That one that we got from Denver, that first carry against Tampa Bay that took it 65 yards or whatever it was for the touchdown on his first carry. We haven't had that kind of explosiveness at running back since Clinton Portis. Damn, that's a long time. You're talking 20 years. I'd really like to get something like that. So it's Jeremiah Love. We can find a safety. Not that Downs is a run-of-the-mill safety, but you can find a safety. You can't find another Jeremiah Love. You can find another Caleb Downs. You can't find another Jeremiah Love. What do you want addressed in free agency on the O-line and why? Center. Because I don't want to have to spend a pick in the draft on center. Not this year, at least. Maybe next year. And I don't want Nick Allegretti starting. So if it has to be Elton Jenkins, so be it. You have to do something at center because I don't want Nick Allegretti having to start. I don't mind if he has to start, but that is not my wish. It is not my wish. Jacob Cortez. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Jacob writes, I want Chig, Lou. I would like them to sign Chig Okonkwo as well. I would like them to do that as well. Would like to see that done tomorrow, if at all possible. Terry Maples, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, I called the Kamara news before Schefter, Lou. For a 6th or 7th, I'm good with pairing him and Bill for this year. Giants will take Love at 5, Mob. You asked about him earlier. Would you be interested? What is his salary? You're trading for him as if trading doesn't mean you inherit his salary. How much is he making? Is that because he was making good money? Like, he's not a bad option. He can still play. A healthy Alvin Kamara is still a very, very good football player. But again, if you were asking me between him and Rachaad White, give me Alvin Kamara. But again, the money is the only thing that would be the holdup. And we can't give away even a 6th or a 7th round pick at this point. We're not in a position to even do that. You got 6 picks, Terry. That's it. You can't keep giving away cheap labor. You can't keep doing that. So anything that involves the word trade and Commanders where picks are going out, we're out. We're not involved in that conversation. We can't be. So Brian Thomas Jr. available. Oh, that's so great. We're not in that discussion. We can't be. We're not in a position to do that. So Ricky D. Hustle. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Ricky writes, Lou, we spend $100 million on Skinny Orakpo. He gets pressured, but doesn't always finish. Then we sign shorter cornerback than Mikey. With Skinny Orakpo. Then we signed cornerback shorter than Mikey, which we did. Settle is the best pickup besides Laramie Tunsil. Throw AP cheap ass away. We suck again. Oh, not Skinny Orakpo. If Tim Settle is the best pickup of day one, we are in trouble. I absolutely disagree with everything you basically just said, but if you are right about these moves and Tim Settle is the best acquisition of the day, we absolutely are going to suck again in 2026, without question. Zoe Life, No Life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Zoe writes, what about Calvin Austin 4.32 40-yard dash? You watch Calvin Austin the third play in Pittsburgh? It's a simple yes or no answer, Zoe. If you did, then we can talk. If you didn't, I got nothing to say. I got nothing for you. I'll ask you this question. When have you ever seen Calvin Austin look like he's running a 4.32 40 on the football field? If you watched him play. Do me a favor. What did Jalen Lane run? How fast is he? I keep talking about us not having any speed opposite of Terry. Didn't he run a 4.3 something? Am I tripping? Let me look him up. Could have swore he ran a 4.3 something. Jalen Lane 40. 4.34. Does that sound familiar to you? Jalen Lane ran a 4.34 40 at the combine. Does it look like 4.34 40 when Jalen Lane's running in a straight line against NFL defenders? It do on kickoffs when he's got a runway. But I ain't seen him be able to give her. Every time we throw a deep ball to him, he is either covered with no separation or it's overthrown because there is nowhere to put the football because he's draped. Just because you're fast doesn't mean De'Ami Brown runs a 4.44, a Moses Malone 4.44, and he looked way faster than both Calvin Austin and Jalen Lane when tracking a deep ball. Way faster than them. So, yeah, I'm not interested in Calvin Austin. I'm not interested. James LaRue. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy James writes, watch the fallback plan for deep threat be De'Ami and Lane. I told y'all, don't sleep on De'Ami Brown reunion. It's going to be cheap, too. Nice and cheap, the way Adam Peters likes it. Oh, I'm just kidding, man. I'm stirring the pot, man. I'm poking the bear right now. Y'all are pissed off. Anything with the word cheap in it is a trigger word. It's a buzzword for y'all right now. But all jokes aside, De'Ami is definitely in play. He's definitely in play. Because ain't nobody else signing De'Ami Brown. And you ain't got to do that right now. De'Ami ain't going nowhere after the disastrous season that was last year with Jacksonville. He'll be right there at the end of March, end of May. He'll be right there if the Commanders want to sign him. Video channel. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, Lou, video channel. Ain't no way in hell Quan is starting in 26. That's complete malpractice. Hey. Do not kill the messenger. Hands up. I ain't did nothing to nobody, but them boys got him. I ain't do nothing. I'm just telling y'all, fresh eyes, fresh eyes, fresh eyes, fresh eyes. Fresh eyes. That's all I'm saying to you. Fresh eyes is all I'm going to say to you. That's it. I ain't got nothing else. We see it the same. I don't want Jartavis anywhere near the starting lineup. But again, we will see. Mr. Deacon, sir. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Mr. Deacon, sir, writes, Chanel, Reek, and Chig, guys I personally like for us. Sign me up for all three of them. Sign me up for all three of them. Ricky D. Hustle, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. My guy, Ricky D. writes, Amik is good in man coverage, but the belief is we're playing a lot of zone. He's average at best in zone. We need a lot to be a 500 team next year. Amik is good in cover 3. He can play cover 3, which is basically what the outside corners convert everything to, basically playing zone on the outside and converting it to some sort of man, right? Basically, if the guy goes vertical. So Amik will be fine. You know, Amik will be fine. He'll be fine. Carlton Pagano Jackson. Damn, I ain't heard that name in a while, it feels like. Stand up. You are the newest member of the MOBB. Mob, you know what to do. So my guy, CPJ. Some love. Welcome with open arms. Welcome back to the squad. Carlton Pagano Jackson. Glad to have you on board. Drew, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Drew writes, big fan of doubling up at edge, Bailey/Bane at 7. Oh, they are definitely interested in doing that. I believe if Bane is there, they may take him. I gotta watch the film so that I can recalibrate my brain if it deserves to be recalibrated. If Bane is really like that, I've got to rewire my brain and stop with this Bane bullshit. If I think he's all right, but I don't see it, I don't love it, then it'll be hard for me to get past the arm length thing. But I keep hearing too many good things about this dude. And when I watched him, I was impressed every time. It's just in my mind, I'm like, in the NFL, it's going to be different. It's college. You can get away with this shit. It's going to be different in the NFL. Maybe it won't be. I was impressed every time I watched this guy play. So I'm a fan of doubling up too. Double up at edge. I think they are as well. James LaRue, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. James writes, Johnny can kick rocks. Was mad as F after, he says, as mad as F, we left Lassiter. Yeah, Johnny can kick rocks at this point. He got to prove to me that he ain't ass, because I'm leaning towards Johnny is a bust at this point. He got to show me that he was worthy of a second-round pick. I feel bamboozled right now with Johnny. Because of all the dudes that we took in the second round, Mikey has shown that he is worthy of a second-round pick. He just has to be consistent. I can justify Ben Sinnott, because he hasn't gotten the opportunity. Johnny has gotten both the opportunity and he ain't did shit. So that's a double whammy. Cut him a break the first year, like, oh, he's coming back from an injury and surgery, Last year was much of the same. Got into great shape, cut the dreads, everything. He tried everything. And he just looked overmatched, except for one game. except for one game. The Commandalorian. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Commandalorian, right? Sign cornerback Reek, add a tight end, running back White, then fill in the blanks with Dollar Tree players. That makes the 7th pick a BPA. Lou, are we running a 3-4? We're running multiple defense. Will the base be a 3-4? Sort of, kind of, yeah. But again, this is the NFL. This is the NFL in 2026. How often are you actually in your base defense? That's what you got to ask yourself. Unless teams come out and adopt what the Rams did with that 13 personnel and they're out here putting, fullbacks on the field and 3 tight ends, how often do you actually get to play your base front? Most teams are in nickel from the start of the game. So, yes. Are we running a 3-4? Sort of, kind of. We're playing multiple fronts. So it'll be an odd front, could be an even front, could be whatever. That's what the goal is to turn the 7th pick in the draft, which it should be regardless of what it is, but turn the 7th pick in the draft into BPA. That's what it's supposed to be, regardless of whether or not you got a need or not. It should, when you're drafting this high, it's one thing if you're drafting 25th. All right, you probably should, try and get a need knocked out at 25. When you're drafting 7th, you earn the right to draft best player available. You suck. Get the best player available and move on. Nobody will ever question if you got 5 of those already and you draft a 6th one and that 6th one is better than the other 5 that were already on the roster. Ain't nobody arguing about that shit. Don't nobody care. They might make a big stink about it in the moment, but 2 years later, if that guy is a 2-time Pro Bowler and an All-Pro, ain't nobody talking about that shit no more. So it should be BPA. Jeremiah Stafford, been a member for 43 months. Salute. Jeremiah writes, the way it's looking, we should get J Love. He is BPA. Hopefully he makes it to 7. If he makes it to 7, they've got a decision to make, and I hope they make the right decision. Got to get there first. Got to get to 7 first. Jay Caroline, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Jay Caroline writes, didn't want Bane at first, but with Oweh, I'll take him. I got to watch him first, so I can't have a stance on Bane until I watch him. It's not fair to him. So I can just say that his arm length and his measurables absolutely concern me. But if he's really like that, which he might be, I might have to put all of that shit aside. Because of all the guys, I think he's going to be there at 7. It doesn't feel like Love is going to make it to 7. I wouldn't be shocked if somebody took Sonny Styles before 7. We know Arvell Reese and David Bailey won't be there at 7. So the question then becomes, who's left? And I could easily see a scenario where it's Ruben Bain and Downs are the 2 guys that are there at 7. And you got to pick one. I can see a scenario where it's Ruben Bain and Jeremiah Love, and they got to make a decision. And I can tell you, the fan base would be split on that. And then I think there will be more people that want Jeremiah Love. And if they drafted Bain, they might want to riot. I just want the option. But I honestly don't think you can go wrong with Styles and Styles or Love at this point. I want to get to the point where I feel like you can't go wrong with Styles, Love, or Bain. That's where I hope I get to after watching the film. So if I feel that way, then you can't piss me off on draft night at 7. You can't piss me off because one of those 3 dudes is absolutely going to be there. Because if one of them isn't, that means somebody else fell that we really want, like a Arvell Reese or a David Bailey. Because again, we know one of the picks already. It's only 5 picks ahead of us. Every one of these dudes ain't going to be gone, right? Because Mendoza's going 1. So there's only 5 picks ahead of us. And that's 5 guys. All 5 of them, more likely than not, aren't going. Bailey, Reese, Bain, Love, Styles. All 5 of them aren't going. Somebody that we're not talking about, an offensive lineman, a receiver, someone's going to infiltrate inside that group of 5. And one of those dudes, at least 1 is going to be there. Possibly 2. Maybe even 3, depending on how things shake out. I just need to love all 3 of those guys because one of them will be there. And one of them, more likely than not, is going to be the pick. And if I don't love one of them, I don't want to be upset if that happens to be the one we take. So I can't wait to watch Bain to see if I feel like, oh, no, we're good. He's going to be fine. We're good with him. We're good. Jay Caroline. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Greatly appreciate you, writes. Would you trade next year's second for Brian Thomas Jr.? No. Here's why. We know that next year's draft, and again, Brian Thomas Jr. is going into year 3. If you trade next year's second, by next year, you're going to have to make a decision on Brian Thomas Jr., whether to pick up his 5th-year option or not, and then you're going to have to give him a new deal. You have a chance to draft a receiver with that same second-round pick next year, if you so choose, in what's supposed to be a historic draft. I want all my picks next year. If this draft is as good as everybody says it's going to be, historically one of the best drafts we've ever seen, and I don't believe that shit, but there is going to be plenty of talent next year in the draft. I want all my picks available, and I want the option. I want the flexibility that if there's an option, an opportunity to do something of note next year, I want all my picks at my disposal so that if I decide next year I want to trade my second-round pick for someone that becomes available, that's disgruntled, that's really talented, I want to have that option then too. I just want all my picks. Can we just do that? We ain't had all our picks since 2024. We ain't have them last year. We don't got them this year. Can we just have 7, at least 7 picks? So no, I'm not interested in trading for Brian Thomas Jr. Although I would love to add a young, talented receiver. I just want my picks. I don't want this team to be involved in no trades right now. Not this offseason. Next offseason, we can go back to being aggressive. Hey, what you think about this guy or this trade? I'm listening. Right now, picks are off limit. Let's just get young talent, young, cheap talent. We have to start adding young, cheap talent, and we need to start hitting on some of this homegrown product and stop giving away our draft picks. What if we suck again? What if that actually happens? You give away a second-round pick, and that's the 34th pick in the draft. What if that shit happens? We can't keep doing that. Again, the hope is that we're not in that position. But I don't think most of us expected to be drafting 7th this year, right? After the Robert Griffin III trade in that 2012 season, did anybody think that we would be giving the Rams the 2nd pick in the 2013 NFL draft? Did anybody think that was going to happen? Or the 2014 draft, excuse me. Did anybody think that was going to happen? Hell no, we didn't think that shit was going to happen. But it did. Now, didn't it? I just don't want to do that again. So, no, not trading next year second. Although it is enticing, Brian Thomas Jr. is definitely a guy that is very enticing, but no, I'm good. Eric Sunderland, been a member for 29 months, who writes, Yo, Louie, been busy. What's the motto next year? Got nothing for you right now. That stuff happens organically. So no motto right now. We just trying to do the best we can to build this roster into a competitive one. Right now, we have a roster that is non-competitive. We need to build it into a competitive roster. We are in the process of trying to do that. That is what I am concerned about right now. We can worry about mottos, and we got plenty of time to do that shit once we, get all the players and we know what the shit looks like. Then we can start talking about mantras and, coming up with some shit down the road. Carlton Pagano Jackson, my guy CPJ. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, it's been a while, Lou. I said that when I saw your name. It's crazy. Hope all is well. Likewise. New career change and busy with the kids. Life be lifing, man. Hope your career is going well. I hope it is fulfilling and it is something that you absolutely are passionate about and love to do. And trust me, I know about kids, man. They run you ragged, but life wouldn't be the same without them. All love to the mob. Likewise, man. All love to you and yours, man. Appreciate you and good to hear from you. Always good to hear from you. Big Money Sonny. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, my guy. Big Money Sonny writes, we need Wild Goose back at safety, problem solved. Wild Goose was never a safety. He was a corner. And we don't ever need to see Wild Goose on the back of another Washington uniform again. Dougalicious. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, yo, Lou. What's up, dog? I tried to catch most of the stream after my graveyard shift, but I was knocked halfway. Hey, look, y'all graveyard shift workers, man. Respect. The fans tweaking wasn't surprised. 100 million cheap? Yeah, okay. Now they were absolutely on their worst behavior. All right. They were on their worst behavior, but it was to be expected if they didn't come out the gate swinging, and they didn't. So yeah, it was a lot of craziness being said, but it's all a part of the game, man. I'm just glad that all's well that ends well, and getting Odafe Oweh, it tied the day together because it was a really good day. Like I said, starting with Laramie Tunsil getting the extension done, that's a hell of a way to start the day. But again, because of the climate and where we were, they won't try to hear that shit. But, getting Oweh and then ending the day with Tim Settle, Oweh tied the day together. It was a really good day. And tomorrow today, it's on the East Coast, could be a really good day as well. But on some Ice Cube shit, today was a good day, right? Or in this case, yesterday was a good day. Get some rest, though. Get some rest. I know you probably at work right now as we speak, but when you get off, get some rest. All right? Get some rest. Dougalicious, been a member for 7 months. Really, truly do appreciate you. Who writes, need tight end and more corner in the worst way. No C-Mo. And yeah, I don't see them bringing C-Mo back. But then again, you never know. C-Mo is just one call away. C-Mo is just one call away. So you just never know. I don't know if they're going to do anything at tight end. Again, I told you that the tough part about this offseason is that you had 2 new coordinators. And you don't know, like, offensively, I feel like we had an idea. Like, they wanted to add Isaiah Likely. I think they still want to add a tight end, but they wanted to add Isaiah Likely. Like, we know David Blau enough to kind of have an idea of what they were going to try to do. Add speed at receiver. He was here, so he knows. Devontae Jones wasn't here. And watching film is one thing, but being here and seeing it in person and being around these guys, he's not well-versed in what these guys are or aren't. And he's going to have to find that out for himself. And fresh eyes is coming in, and he may be able to rectify one of these dudes, two of these dudes, three of these dudes. He may come in here and find out something that we already knew, that, hey, that dude is ass. He's a 2-pack of ass. We may have to sit through another year of Jartavius Martin as our starting free safety. We might have Will Harris complimenting him as the other starting safety. We may be getting more Jeremy Reeves as a supplement to that safety group. He may try to force, and maybe he might actually be able to maximize, but he may try to force the square peg that into a round hole that is, what's my man's name? Tyler Owens. We want Tyler Owens to be good so bad because he's so athletic. What if he's just not? What if he's just a special teams player? That's it. We'll see. They got to do something else at corner. You only have 3 under contract. That's not optional. They got to do something. You're not going to draft, 2 corners. You may draft 1. But I said that I didn't think they would draft another wide receiver. Why not? Because they have drafted one each of the last 2 years. Well, they've drafted a corner each of the last 2 years, both in the second round. So if I'm going off of that same premise, then they shouldn't draft a corner, or they won't draft a corner on defense. And that just ain't accurate, which means they could draft another receiver. They could draft another receiver because they probably are going to have to draft another corner if they don't do something. And I think they're going to do something else at corner. I just don't think it's going to be premium, though, which sucks. But at the same time, I kind of get it. I don't have to like it, but I get it. Jason Files, been a member for 48 months. Celebrate, my guy. Happy 4-month anniversary, my guy. Right? 4-month, 4-year anniversary. Appreciate you. What up, Lou? How's the fam? Everybody's good over here on our end, man. How about yours? How's everybody doing on your end? Hope all is well. And y'all thriving, not just surviving, but y'all thriving over there. Think we will get any other big names? Yeah, I do think so. I think don't you count Ayuk as a big name? But outside of that, do I think we get another big name? Yeah, I still think there's a wide receiver or a tight end, something like that we add. I think it's one more guy that you like. Okay, I like that move. I think there's one more of those in addition to Brandon Ayuk. Yeah, I do. And they're going to add Rachaad White, which I think a lot of people will be comfortable with and will like as well. So, yeah, I do think there's one more in there for this team. I do. Suave, 1988. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Suave writes, wouldn't BTJ be better than anyone we could draft? This is supposed to be a deep wide receiver draft class, but in the third, we don't have a second round pick. And if you're saying that for next year's draft, we don't know what the draft looks like next year. It's supposed to be really good. And we don't know where we'll be drafting next year. So if you gave up, you can't give up a 1 for him. Absolutely not. And they're not going to just give him away. They're not going to take a 3rd round pick for him. And you can't really afford to do that anyway. You trade your 3rd round pick this year, you got a 1st round pick, and then you don't draft again until the 6th round. Or the 5th round. You don't draft again to the 5th round because we have a 1st, we have a 3rd, and we have a 5th, and I think we have 2 6s and a 7th. I think 1, 3, 5, 2 6s and a 7. That's 6 picks. Yeah, I think that's what it is. something like that. Anyway, he could be better than anyone we could draft, but we're not sure. And again, it's not even about just how good he is or isn't. It's also about having to pay him. It's also about getting young, cheap labor, not having to worry about paying a guy for 4 to 5 years. You trade for him, you're giving up a pick, you're giving up the rights to another young, cheap player for 4 years, possibly 5, to go get a guy that you're going to have to pay in a year from now, or make a decision on him a year from now. You don't want to be in that position, honestly. So, again, if this is a conversation we're having next year, we get to next year and we make it to the playoffs and we lose in the divisional round and it's the 22nd pick in the draft or the 23rd pick in the draft, and Jacksonville is he's on the block again after a solid season, but they definitely aren't going to pay him, and they're not going to pick up his 5th-year option. So you trade for him and say, I'll take on that. That's different next year. That's different next year. Because you know what the pick is already, and you're comfortable with where you are in the draft, and you might have looked at and assessed the draft and said, we're not getting a player better than this guy at pick 50, 55, or 56. We're not getting a player better than him. So let's go ahead and trade for him. Can't do that right now. We're not in a position to do that right now because we don't know what that pick's going to be. That could be the 34th pick in the draft. You'd be punching air if we suck again next year, end up with the 35th pick in the draft, and that shit belongs to Jacksonville. Anyway, I digress. That is going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on the Command Post Live. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. Day 1 of the tampering period in the books. It was a productive day. It was a hilarious day. The crash outs were amazing. But ultimately, day 1, we set out to add a big name, and Adam Peters delivered. And then, for good measure, he got Laramie Tunsil's extension done. Like, to me, that is a very productive first day, if you ask me. Laramie Tunsil's extension done. That's like getting another deal done, right? That's like getting 2 big names. Getting that extension done, adding Odafe, Oweh, adding some depth, bringing back Marcus Mariota. It was a busy day. They got some things done. They swung for the fences. Yeah, they missed on Isaiah Likely. They missed on Alec Pierce, and they missed on Tyler Linderbaum. But I like the attempts. I didn't want to sign Linderbaum for anything remotely close to what he got. And I wasn't all in on Alec Pierce because I knew that money was going to get outrageous, and it did. But I would have loved to have gotten Isaiah Likely. But I don't think that was a money thing. I think Isaiah Likely had his mind made up that he was going to New York. So it wasn't for a lack of trying. I think they had a good first day, and I'm anxious to see what day 2 of the tampering period brings for the Commanders. I think it's going to be another active day for the Commanders. 5 moves made in all in day 1, which is right up there with most teams that were active. Some teams were more active outside of their building. Others, a combination of the two. Some did nothing outside of their building. We did both. 3 outside, 2 inside the building. I wonder what day 2 looks like. Only one way to find out. Go get yourself some rest. If you're one of those overnighters, if you work in the graveyard shift, get the work done, go home and get some rest. You can always wake up and figure out what the hell happened. But rest is more important. This shit ain't going nowhere. Get some rest. But day 2, I think, is going to be exciting. They're going to get some things done, and it's going to set the stage for Wednesday. It's going to set the stage for Wednesday when guys like Ayuk and others may get released, and we can really start to have some fun. So we'll see what happens. What if they signed like a Tyreek Hill as the speed threat? What if they did that? I doubt it, but what if? You just never know. There's so many options available to this team. Anyway, you guys have a great night. See you guys tomorrow, 12 noon. I'll be back to do it all over again, as we will be live for day 2 of the tampering period. Until then, I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. Commanders, very productive day, contrary to popular belief. Very productive day 1 of tampering. Let's see what Adam Peters has up his sleeve in day number 2.